Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss the new stories we share. Let's begin. The elevator doors opened and my heart stopped. There, standing in the middle of my executive floor, surrounded by frozen employees and dropped coffee cups, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old. Her hair was tangled. Her shoes were on the wrong feet, and she was crying so hard her tiny body shook with each breath. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. It was what she was saying. "Please don't take Mommy's job, please. She tries so hard. She cries every night. Please, mister, please." She was talking to me. "I'm David Chen. I built this company from nothing. 17 years ago, I started with a laptop and a dream in my mother's basement. Now I run a logistics empire with over 2,000 employees across 3 states. I've made decisions that affected thousands of lives. I've fired people, hired people, built careers and ended them. But I had never in all my years seen anything like this." The entire floor had gone silent. People stood at their desks, phones still pressed to their ears, fingers hovering over keyboards. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. I lowered myself to one knee, bringing my face level with hers. Up close, I could see the tear tracks cutting through the dirt on her cheeks. Her dress was stained. Her fingernails were bitten down to nothing. "Hey there," I said softly. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Emma," she whispered. "Emma Delgado, Delgado." The name tickled something in the back of my mind, but I couldn't place it. "Emma, how did you get up here? Where's your mommy?" Her lower lip trembled. "She works here, but she doesn't know I came. I took the bus by myself because I heard her talking to Grandma on the phone last night." My chest tightened. "What did she say?" Emma's voice broke. "She said they're going to fire her. She said Mr. Harrison told her she's done. And Mommy was crying so hard, and she said we might lose our house, and I don't want to lose our house because that's where Daddy lived before he went to heaven." The words hit me like a physical blow. I looked up at the crowd of employees. Some had tears in their eyes, others looked away, ashamed to witness something so raw, so painfully private. "Someone get this child some water," I said quietly. "And find me everything we have on the Delgado file. Now." Harrison. Gerald Harrison, my floor supervisor. The man I'd trusted to manage my people for the past 8 years. The man who sent me weekly reports about efficiency metrics and performance reviews. Something cold settled in my stomach. Something that felt like the beginning of a very ugly truth. I stood slowly, keeping my hand on Emma's small shoulder. She looked up at me with those enormous brown eyes, filled with a desperate hope that broke something inside me. "Emma," I said, my voice steady despite the storm building in my chest, "I'm going to need you to tell me everything." We moved to my office, away from the staring eyes and whispered speculation. My assistant, Margaret, brought Emma a juice box and some crackers from the break room. The little girl sat on my leather couch, her legs dangling off the edge, not quite reaching the floor. I sat across from her in a chair I'd pulled from my desk, the same desk where I'd made million-dollar decisions, the same desk where I'd built an empire. None of that mattered now. "Emma, can you tell me about your mommy? What's her name?" "Sophia," she said between small sips of apple juice. "Sophia Delgado. She works in the mail room. She sorts all the letters and packages. She's really good at it. She never loses anything." The mail room, that was 4 floors below us, a department I rarely visited, a department managed entirely by Gerald Harrison. "And Mr. Harrison," I said carefully, "do you know who he is?" Emma's face changed. The innocence drained away, replaced by something that looked far too much like fear for a child her age. "He's mean," she whispered. "Mommy says I shouldn't say that about grown-ups, but he's mean. He yells at Mommy. He makes her stay late even when I'm sick, and once." She stopped. Her small hands gripped the juice box so tightly it began to crumple. "Once what, Emma?" "Once Mommy came home with a red mark on her arm. She said she bumped into a door. But I saw her at night when she thought I was sleeping. She was looking at it in the mirror, and she was crying." My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. I'd built this company on principles, on the belief that every employee, from the executives to the janitors, deserved respect and dignity. I'd written those values into our mission statement myself. I'd hung them on the walls of every floor, and somewhere in the bowels of my own building, someone had been violating everything I stood for. "Margaret," I called out, "get me Harrison now." "He's in a meeting, sir," he said. "I don't care if he's having tea with the president. Get him in my office in 5 minutes." I turned back to Emma. "Sweetheart, I need to ask you something important. Is your mommy at work today?" Emma nodded. "She's always at work, even on Saturdays sometimes. Mr. Harrison says she has to or she'll get in trouble." Saturdays. Our mail room didn't operate on Saturdays. It never had. The pieces were starting to come together and they were forming a picture that made my stomach turn. I remembered Sophia Delgado now. I'd seen her name on a list once, about 6 months ago, a list of employees recommended for promotion by their direct supervisors. Harrison had crossed her name off, citing attitude problems and poor performance. I'd trusted him. I'd never questioned it. My door opened and Gerald Harrison walked in wearing that practiced smile I'd seen 1,000 times. "David, you wanted to see me? I was just finishing up a budget review, but—" His voice died in his throat when he saw Emma. The color drained from his face. It happened so fast, so completely, that it was like watching a mask slip off. And in that moment, I saw something I'd missed for years. I saw the truth hiding behind his polished exterior. "Mr. Chen." He recovered quickly, his smile snapping back into place. "I'm not sure what's going on here, but if there's been some kind of security breach with this child, I can have it handled immediately." "Sit down, Gerald." Something in my voice made him obey without argument. I watched him carefully as I spoke. "This is Emma Delgado. Her mother works in your department, in the mail room." "Delgado." He nodded slowly. "Yes, I know the employee. Frankly, David, she's been a problem. I was actually going to recommend termination. Her performance has been slipping and she's been difficult with coworkers." "Stop." The word cut through the air like a blade. "Emma," I said gently, "can you tell Mr. Harrison what you told me about your mommy staying late, about Saturdays?" Harrison's jaw tightened, just slightly, just enough. Emma looked at him, and I watched a 5-year-old girl show more courage than most adults I knew. "You make mommy work on Saturdays even though the mail room is closed. And you yell at her, and you hurt her arm that one time." "That's ridiculous," Harrison laughed, but there was panic in his eyes now. "David, you can't seriously be listening to a child. She's confused. She's making things up. Kids do that." "Do they?" I stood slowly. "Margaret, what did you find in the Delgado file?" My assistant's voice came through the intercom, steady and damning. "Sir, I pulled Miss Delgado's records. She's been written up 17 times in the past 8 months. All by Mr. Harrison. But here's the thing, sir. I cross-referenced her performance with actual metrics. Her error rate is 0.2%. That's the lowest in the department. And I found security footage requests from Mr. Harrison. He's been deleting Saturday camera files for the past 6 months." The room went very, very quiet. Harrison stood abruptly. "This is absurd. I don't have to sit here and listen to accusations from a child and a secretary. I've given 8 years to this company, 8 years of loyalty. And how many of those years," I asked quietly, "did you spend tormenting a widow and her daughter?" His face twisted. The mask was gone now, completely gone, and what remained was something ugly. "She brought it on herself," he spat. "Coming to work with that sad story about her dead husband, expecting special treatment, expecting me to care. Some people need to learn their place, David." I felt my hands trembling, not with fear, with rage. I stepped closer to him, close enough to see the sweat beading on his forehead. "You're done? You can't fire me," Harrison snarled. "I know things. I know how this company really works. I know about the Chicago deal, about the tax situation, about—" "Security is on their way," Margaret's voice came through the intercom again. "Also, sir, Miss Delgado is here. She came up looking for her daughter." The door opened and Sofia Delgado walked in. She was smaller than I'd imagined. Dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, worn clothes, clean but faded, and the moment she saw Emma, she crumbled. "Baby!" She rushed forward, scooping her daughter into her arms. "Oh God, Emma, what were you thinking? How did you—" "I'm so sorry, Mr. Chen. I don't know how she got here. I'll leave right now. Please don't." "Sophia." She stopped. Her eyes met mine, and I saw everything in them. The exhaustion, the fear, the years of silent suffering, the determination to protect her daughter at any cost. "You're not in trouble." I said, "He is." I gestured to Harrison, who was being escorted out by 2 security guards. He tried to say something, some final threat or justification, but the door closed behind him, cutting off his words. Sophia watched him go, and I saw something shift in her expression. Relief, disbelief, and then slowly tears. "I don't understand," she whispered. "What happened? How did you know?" "Your daughter told me." Sophia looked down at Emma, still clutched in her arms. "You came all the way here, by yourself?" Emma nodded solemnly. "I had to, Mommy. You were so sad, and I remembered what Daddy used to say. He said sometimes the smallest voice can make the biggest noise." Sophia broke down completely then. She sank to her knees, holding her daughter, sobbing in a way that told me she hadn't allowed herself to cry in years. Not like this, not where anyone could see. I turned away, giving them privacy, looking out my window at the city below. Thousands of people in those buildings, thousands of stories, thousands of struggles I would never know about. How many were happening right here in my own company? I thought about the values I'd written, the principles I'd proclaimed. I'd believed in them, I still did, but believing wasn't enough if I didn't fight for them, if I didn't see them through. I'd let a man like Harrison operate for 8 years. I'd trusted reports and metrics instead of people. I'd forgotten that behind every employee number was a human being with a story, with pain, with dreams. "Mr. Chen?" I turned. Sophia was standing now, Emma's hand in hers. Her eyes were red, but she was composed. "Thank you for believing her, for believing me. I should have known sooner. I should have." "You couldn't have known." He was careful. But that wasn't good enough, not for me. 3 months later, Sofia Delgado became my new head of employee relations. I created the position specifically for her. After everything that had happened, I realized I needed someone in the company whose job was to listen, to really listen, someone who understood what it meant to suffer in silence, to feel invisible, to fear speaking up. Sofia was that person. The day I promoted her, she sat in my office, Emma beside her with a coloring book, and she asked me a question I'll never forget. Why me? There are people with degrees, with experience, with connections. Why would you trust me with something so important? I thought carefully before answering. Because you survived something that should have broken you, and you came out the other side still believing in kindness. That's not something you can learn in a classroom. That's character. She smiled then, a real smile, the first I'd ever seen from her. It transformed her entire face. My husband would have liked you, she said softly. He always said you can tell who someone really is by how they treat people who can't do anything for them. I looked at Emma, still coloring, her tongue poking out in concentration. Your daughter is quite remarkable, you know. What she did took incredible courage. She's her father's daughter, Sofia said, and there was pride in her voice and grief and love, all tangled together the way they always are when we carry the people we've lost. Harrison was prosecuted, eventually, not just for harassment, but for financial improprieties we discovered during the investigation. Thousands of dollars skimmed from department budgets, falsified overtime records, a whole web of small cruelties and corruptions that had festered in the dark. But the real change was cultural. We implemented anonymous reporting systems. We created oversight committees. We mandated that executives spend time, real time, in every department talking to people, learning their names, hearing their concerns. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever is, but it was better. On the 1-year anniversary of that day, Emma came to my office again. This time, she brought me a drawing. It was a picture of a tall building with a sun shining behind it. At the bottom, she'd written in careful, crooked letters, "Thank you for listening." I still have it. It's framed on my wall, right next to the mission statement I wrote 17 years ago, the one about dignity and respect. Every time I see it, I remember. I remember that the biggest truths sometimes come from the smallest voices, that courage doesn't care how old you are, and that listening, really listening, might be the most powerful thing any of us can do. I'm still learning that lesson. I suspect I always will be. Thanks for watching. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and visit the channel for more real-life stories. Sometimes the most extraordinary moments come from the most ordinary places. Sometimes a child's whisper can change everything.